I realized that there was more to learn. And that's a big part of it that really keeps me, I think, drawn is like, we're only here one time. And I love the arena. I love learning about first aid. And
what terrible thing happened to Paul Walker, the star of Fast and Furious 7, on that fateful day? The tragic accident not only took the life of the actor at the age of 40, but also left deep pain in the hearts of fans around the world. But the autopsy report later revealed the heartbreaking details. So what happened on that fateful day when Paul Walker passed away while Furious 7 was still unfinished? Painful death. The tragic end for Fast and Furious star Paul Walker came unexpectedly on November 30, 2013, during a brief production break from filming Furious 7, shocking fans and colleagues worldwide. On that fateful Saturday afternoon, Walker attended a charity event for his organization, Reach Out Worldwide, in Santa Clarita, California. The event aimed to collect donations for victims of Typhoon Haiyan in the Philippines. According to his mother, Cheryl, Walker had been in excellent spirits that morning while discussing holiday plans with his daughter, Meadow. He had mentioned wanting to pick out a Christmas tree that evening to decorate with his 15-year-old daughter. At approximately 3:30 p.m. PST, Walker left the fundraiser, hosted at a high-performance car shop owned by him and his friend Roger Rodas. Both men departed in a red 205 Porsche Carrera GT, which Rodas had recently purchased from a long-term collection with only 3,500 miles on the odometer. For Walker, this ride was particularly special, as he had reportedly never been in a Carrera GT before. Roger Rodas, 38, Walker's friend, financial advisor, and racing team partner, was behind the wheel during the incident. The Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department investigation determined that the Porsche was traveling between 80 and 93 mph in a 45 mph zone on Hercules Street in Valencia. Some reports suggested the speed might have been closer to 100. The high-performance vehicle lost control on a curve in an office park area, subsequently striking a sidewalk, a concrete lamppost, and 2 trees before bursting into flames within seconds of impact. According to forensic evidence, both men were rendered unconscious upon impact. The official autopsy report cited combined traumatic and thermal injuries as Walker's cause of death, whereas Rodas died instantly from multiple traumatic injuries. The tragic accident that killed Paul Walker is believed to have been caused by a combination of factors. The Porsche Carrera GT was traveling between 80 and 93 mph, far exceeding the 45 mph speed limit in the area where the accident occurred. Not only that, the tires were determined to be expired, with an age of up to 9 years, significantly reducing traction and safety. In addition, the Carrera GT is known for its highly skilled handling, making it extremely dangerous to drive in less than ideal conditions. No alcohol or stimulants were detected in either man's system, and mechanical failure was ruled out as a cause. The devastating news sent shockwaves through Hollywood, particularly affecting the Fast and Furious family. Production on Furious 7 was immediately halted indefinitely. Tyrese Gibson recalled the cast's initial reaction. "The first thing all of us were struggling with was, what the hell are we doing here? What's Fast and Furious without Paul?" Vin Diesel, Walker's close friend and co-star, later posted a photo of them together on Instagram with the message, "Brother, I will miss you very much. I am speechless." Jordana Brewster, who played Walker's love interest in the franchise, expressed that she was still sort of processing it and called him the most wonderful, light, beautiful spirit ever. Furthermore, thousands of fans gathered at the crash site, creating a makeshift memorial with flowers, candles, and notes. Social media platforms were flooded with tributes from celebrities and fans alike. Universal Pictures released a statement saying, "All of us at Universal are heartbroken. Paul was truly one of the most beloved and respected members of our studio family for 14 years, and this loss is devastating to us." For the 10th anniversary of Walker's death in 2023, his daughter Meadow shared a touching video on social media with the caption, "10 years without you, I love you forever." Paul Walker's sudden death not only shocked fans, but also left a huge void on the set of Furious 7. So how can the production crew continue the film when one of its central characters is gone? Furious 7 production halts. Production on Furious 7 was abruptly halted following the news of Paul Walker's death, forcing Universal Pictures and its crew to navigate unprecedented territory in Hollywood history. When executives at Universal Pictures learned of Walker's accident, they immediately halted production on Furious 7. The studio released an official statement expressing their grief. Paul was truly one of the most beloved and respected members of our studio family over the past 14 years. The production team canceled all scheduled shooting as the cast and crew mourned. The studio was faced with a challenging decision, with nearly half of the film already shot and around $200 million invested. Initially, there were rumors that Universal might cancel the project altogether. However, after careful consideration and consultation with Walker's family, it was announced on December 4, 2013, that production would eventually resume, although the release date was postponed. Director James Wan and screenwriter Chris Morgan spent weeks revising the script, working closely with Universal executives to determine the most respectful way to proceed. Meanwhile, Walker's brothers Caleb and Cody were approached about the possibility of helping to complete their brother's remaining scenes. The original script for Furious 7 positioned Brian O'Connor, Walker's character, as the center of the plot, including scenes where he would participate in stunts and fight the villain played by Jason Statham. This required a complete rewrite of the script. Rather than have Brian's character die, which many initially expected, the creative team made a bold decision. Chris Morgan reworked the storyline so that Brian could retire with dignity from his dangerous lifestyle, allowing him to prioritize his family. This approach respected Walker's real-life values, as he often spoke about the importance of family. To cope with the sudden passing of Paul Walker, the Furious 7 production team had to significantly adjust the content and structure of the film. Many action scenes originally designed specifically for the character Brian O'Connor were transferred to other characters to keep the storyline seamless without losing its appeal. In addition, new scenes were also written to reduce Brian's appearance time, but still ensuring that this character plays an important role in the plot. This required ingenuity in both the script and the technique, especially when combining CGI images and stuntmen. In particular, the ending of the film was completely reimagined, no longer simply the end of an action episode, but became a deep and emotional tribute to Paul Walker. The farewell scene at the end of the film not only closed Brian O'Connor's journey, but also marked an emotional farewell to a friend and colleague that the entire crew loved. The revised script maintained Brian's presence throughout the film, but gradually reduced his involvement in the action, setting up his departure in a meaningful way. Many factors influenced the decision to complete Furious 7 despite its lead actor's absence. Mostly the cast and crew, especially Vin Diesel, felt strongly that completing the film would honor Walker's legacy better than abandoning it. "We all came back for one reason. Our brother Paul," Diesel explained in interviews. "We needed to honor him the best way we knew how." Practical considerations also played a role. Universal had invested significantly in the production, and the series represented one of their most valuable assets. However, financial concerns seemed secondary to the emotional need to create a fitting tribute. Walker's family was also supportive of the decision. His brothers Caleb and Cody told the producers Paul would want him to finish it. Their willingness to participate as stuntmen proved crucial to its technical completion. The cast reassembled in April 2014, nearly 4 months after Walker's death. The atmosphere on set was fundamentally different, with many describing it as therapeutic, a collective process of healing through creative work. Despite the emotional challenges, the group was determined to make a film in memory of their fallen colleague. But how to bring Brian O'Connor back to the screen when Paul Walker is gone? After rewriting the script, is there a way to complete the unfinished scenes while still retaining the spirit of the character? Filmmakers used CGI, completing Furious 7 Without Paul Walker presented an unprecedented technical challenge in Hollywood filmmaking history, requiring innovative solutions to honor the late actor's legacy. When the accident occurred, Walker had completed approximately 50% of his scenes for the seventh installment of the franchise. The actor had filmed most of his dramatic sequences, but was missing critical action scenes and several key moments essential to the narrative arc. The production team faced the daunting task of completing the remaining portions of Brian O'Connor's storyline without its star. Upon resuming production in April 2014, director James Wan enlisted the help of Walker's brothers, Caleb and Cody, who bore striking resemblances to the late actor. Although neither had significant acting experience, both stepped forward to serve as body doubles for their brothers' remaining scenes. The brothers' contributions proved invaluable as they matched Paul's height, build, and mannerisms. For scenes requiring full-body shots, either Caleb or Cody would perform the physical actions while wearing their brother's wardrobe. This approach worked effectively for scenes showing Brian from behind or at a distance. Nevertheless, close-up shots demanded a different solution. Witted Digital, the visual effects company, renowned for their work on the Lord of the Rings trilogy, was tasked with the delicate process of digitally recreating Paul Walker's likeness. The team utilized sophisticated facial replacement technology to superimpose Walker's face onto his brothers' bodies. To complete Paul Walker's unfinished scenes in Furious 7, the production team undertook a complex and emotional technical process. They began by carefully analyzing extended footage from previous films to gather data on Walker's unique movements and visuals. From there, a highly accurate digital model of his face was created, reproducing every familiar feature. Next, the team mapped Paul's signature expressions and speech patterns, from his gaze to his laugh to his way of speaking, to capture the soul of the character Brian O'Connor. Finally, all of these digital elements were carefully blended with physical footage of Paul's two brothers, Caleb and Cody Walker, to create a seamless, authentic, and emotional edit. For dialogue scenes, sound editors compiled recordings from Walker's previous performances, supplemented by a voice actor who could mimic his distinct cadence and tone. The primary challenge faced by Weta was avoiding the uncanny valley effect, where digital human recreations appear almost but not quite realistic, creating an unsettling impression. The team needed to ensure Walker's digital presence felt authentic rather than jarring. To overcome this hurdle, filmmakers often placed Walker's character in natural shadows or utilized specific camera angles that minimized the need for extensive facial CGI. In total, the team created approximately 350 new shots featuring the digitally recreated Walker, carefully integrated to maintain the illusion of his presence throughout the film. The final result was so seamless that many viewers could not distinguish which scenes featured the real Paul Walker and which used digital techniques, ultimately allowing for a dignified conclusion to his character's story. After all the technical and emotional effort to complete the unfinished role, Furious 7 is no longer just an action movie. So, what is the ending that the audience witnessed? Honor. The culmination of Furious 7 features a poignant farewell to Paul Walker's character that transcended typical Hollywood endings, becoming one of cinema's most memorable tributes. Instead of killing off Brian O'Connor, the filmmakers chose to retire Paul's character in the most sincere and elegant way they could. The final sequence shows Brian playing on a beach with Mia and their son, while Dom and the crew look on, symbolizing his transition to family life. In a powerful moment, Dom leaves without saying goodbye, explaining, "It's never goodbye." The scene then shifts to Dom driving alone on a mountain road when Brian's car suddenly pulls alongside him. Both men exchange final glances before racing together briefly. Ultimately, they reach a fork in the road where Brian takes a separate path, driving off into the sunset alone. Director James Wan specifically chose to fade to white rather than black, stating, "We didn't want it to fade to black. It has to fade to white." The screen then displays the simple dedication for Paul. The emotional montage features See You Again, a collaboration between Wiz Khalifa and Charlie Puth that became inseparable from Walker's memory. Universal Pictures president of music, Mike Knobloch. Henson noted, "We knew we didn't want people leaving the theater sad." The song intentionally balanced earnestness with celebration. Released on Vin Diesel's Facebook page, the video garnered over 28 million views within 20 hours. The track topped iTunes charts and set records as the most streamed song in a single day on Spotify in the United States. Its lyrics, "It's been a long day without you, my friend, and I'll tell you all about it when I see you again," perfectly captured the sentiment of loss and hope. The tribute elicited overwhelming emotional responses from audiences worldwide. "Man, I don't care how tough you are or how gangsta you claim to be. The last 5 minutes had me choked up in the movie theater," wrote one viewer. Many reported theaters full of crying viewers, including surprising demographics. "I was shocked to see 2 of them wiping tears from their cheeks during those final minutes." Critics likewise praised the ending as respectful and powerful. The farewell helped propel Furious 7 to extraordinary commercial success, grossing $146 million on its opening weekend in the US and eventually reaching $1.5 billion worldwide. The tribute essentially transformed what could have been an exploitive situation into what many consider the franchise's most meaningful moment. The emotional tribute to Paul Walker in Furious 7 closed an important chapter, but is Brian O'Connor really gone for good, or will he still have a chance to survive in the next films? The answer will be revealed in the Fast and Furious series. The revival. After the emotional farewell in Furious 7, the Fast and Furious series faced a major challenge: how to continue developing the story while maintaining a deep respect for the legacy of Paul Walker and the character Brian O'Connor, who has been closely associated with the series since the very beginning. This was not only a script problem, but also related to the emotions of the entire film crew and millions of fans around the world. In the following films, such as F9 and Fast X, Brian O'Connor no longer appeared directly on screen, but his presence was still maintained in a subtle and meaningful way in the plot. Especially in F9, the character Mia Toretto, Brian's wife, mentioned him many times, saying that Brian was at home taking care of the children when she joined Dom in searching for Jacob. The scene ends with an empty chair at the Toretto family dinner table, a chair always reserved for Brian, leaving the audience emotional. As Dom looks towards the aisle, a blue Nissan Skyline, Brian's iconic car throughout the series, suddenly stops as a tacit confirmation of the invisible but vital existence of this character. Continuing that spirit, Fast X continues to maintain the tradition of honoring Brian through meaningful details. Mia once again mentions Brian when she says that he stayed behind to protect their children while she participates in dangerous missions with Dom. Furthermore, the ending scene of the film is deeply emotional when the audience only sees Brian's arm reaching out from a car, wearing his signature bracelet, saving Dom's son, little Brian, from a dangerous situation. It's a subtle and inspiring nod to Brian's presence and influence in the Fast and Furious universe, despite no longer appearing in person. Unlike Furious 7, where the filmmakers used CGI technology and Paul Walker's brothers to complete his unfinished scenes, the subsequent films have taken a different approach, relying on subtle reminders and tributes. This is expressed in many subtle but meaningful ways. First, characters in the film often refer to Brian through dialogue as a way to maintain his image and spirit in the story. In addition, iconic objects related to Brian, such as his signature car or familiar personal equipment, appear as visual reminders, helping the audience feel his invisible but still vivid presence. Furthermore, family relationships also play an important role, as Brian and Mia's children become a living continuation of his legacy while also contributing to deepening the family aspect of the whole story. Director Justin Lin, who has participated in making many films in the series, once shared about this approach. Brian O'Connor is still alive in this universe, and he is a very, very dear character to me. Lyon also emphasized that the production team deliberately avoided recasting or using digital recreations of Paul Walker in the new films, largely out of respect for his family and legacy, something both the crew and fans hold dear. As Fast 11, which is expected to be the conclusion of the main story, draws nearer, fans around the world are discussing and speculating about the ultimate fate of Brian O'Connor. Vin Diesel, the series star and producer, has hinted that the special abilities in Fast 10 are deeply connected to Brian. There's something special happening in Fast 10 that has a lot to do with Brian O'Connor. Rumors in the film industry suggest that the final installment may include previously unused footage of Walker, although Universal has yet to officially confirm this. Most importantly, the producers of this franchise have always placed a high priority on respecting the memory and legacy of Paul Walker. Neil Moritz, the longtime producer of Fast and Furious, once firmly stated, "We will never forget the importance of Brian O'Connor to this franchise." How did you feel when you learned about the heartbreaking details surrounding Paul Walker's death and how the accident affected the entire production of Furious 7? Please share your thoughts in the comments section below. We would love to hear from you, and don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel for more interesting updates. Thank you, and see you in the next videos.